It look like Sandy's not here, so.
Going. Okay, we appreciate everybody as we come to order this night, and welcome to Cache County Council. This is the youngest group that we've ever had, so many of. Glad you're here. Our opening, it says on the opening that we have Councilmember Nolan Gunnell, but since he's in Florida with his feet up on the lounge chair, I'm sure, we've asked actually Councilwoman Barbara Tidwell to actually give the opening tonight, and we'll make Nolan do it twice this next time.
All right, I'd like to give my comments in the form of a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful to Thee for this beautiful day. We're grateful, Heavenly Father, for the moisture that we've received, for the water that we have. We pray for those who are having issues with that water, that they would be able to solve the problems that are set before them. We're grateful for this great country. We're grateful for the founding fathers and what they have given to us. We're grateful for this county and the people in this county, for what they stand for, and their opinions matter to us. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve on this county council. We pray that as a council that we would be wise and have open minds and listen to the things that are said and would be able to make wise decisions for the best of the people. We give thanks for all that we have. We are truly blessed, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Barbara. We really appreciate that. Let's go ahead with the review approval of the agenda as such.
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Moved and second that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. How about the approval of the minutes from the last meeting?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second that we approve those meetings. And any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Let's go on right down to the report of the county executive.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Dirk Anderson, Chief Deputy County Executive, sitting in for our County Executive David Zook tonight. We'd like to ask his excusal. He is attending his son's high school graduation. We wouldn't want to, I don't know, I'm not sure which place I'd rather be if I were him.
Whoa.
That's a long.
I would rather be with my son.
Here, you use this on him. I was going to say, he better be.
No, this is, different meetings for different ends, so that's wonderful. He just asked that I mention and update the council on a few things. We were able to meet with Bragg. They talked to us about some broadband funding. There are some grants that are available to grant access to certain parts of our county community that don't have the access that others have, and so we're working with them towards that, and we'd be happy to update you as we learn more and continue to learn about that. Also, we had our budget committee meeting yesterday, and we just talked about ARPA, some of the ARPA projects, and those will come before the council, I believe, in the June budget opening, so soon. In addition, we've talked before, and the council has approved proposal, I believe, for the grant funding from the Office of the Property Rights Ombudsman. They've offered some grant funding to us to do housing education videos and to distribute those videos and to market them. And so we're in the process just of getting proposals to pick who's going to do that. And we've put the bids out for those. And the videos will be available in August and distributed hopefully this fall. The goal is to educate the public about ways they can positively affect housing policy and how that affects availability and pricing. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Items of special interest, introduction and approval of new merit commission members. Sheriff Jensen. Glad you came back. You're all done? You're all done today with your graduation?
We just got done with graduation, and it's, graduation starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's not end until about 10 o'clock at night, because there's not a place to go get lunch after a graduation. So, anyway, and it's my wife's birthday today, so we're gonna do graduation. We had lunch, and I'm gonna give my little presentation and go home and have birthday cake, and thanks to the mayor, I just probably inherited, a late birthday present for her in a month or so, so, thank you. Mine's really pretty easy tonight. So, my office is a little bit different by statute. The sheriff's office has to have we have a merit commission, and what the merit commission does, it just ensures that our hiring practices, our promotional practices, our disciplinary practices, all those things are fair and unbiased as we hire, promote, and unfortunately, oftentimes we have to do discipline with employees. But what the merit, I won't bore you with all the details, what the code states is it is a 3-member commission that works with my office, and this commission is ratified by the council when there's an opening to serve on that committee. With the passing of Mayor Clark, she was on our merit commission, boy, for probably 16 years. A long time, and she was a great service to my office and to the county as a whole. But with that, it leaves a hole in the merit commission, and I've asked Jack Draxler if he would be interested in taking her position on the merit commission if it was ratified and approved by the council. So that's what I'm here for tonight, is to have you verify and certify that you would accept Jack as the new merit commission member. And he's at graduation tonight too, so he couldn't be here either to speak for himself.
Any questions to that?
Well, I would make a motion to approve Jack. I highly recommend him
Second it.
as a
Move,
merit commission member.
moved and seconded to approve the new merit commission member of Jack Draxler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Actually, you're just a little slow. You didn't.
Is there any questions about the merit commission that I can answer for? Again, the 10-second version of this is the merit rules were created way back in the 60s, and it was before HR was actually a thing in government. It was just a way to ensure that there's fairness and equity across the boards with hiring and terminations and promotions, and they've been a great service. All of them have been a great service, and Jack will be a great person to be part of that commission and be part of our office with those types of things.
Who else is on the commission?
So there's Jack Draxler, there's Paul Davis, and Steve Meekum. So the rules say it has to be one person from a different political affiliation, and we've accomplished that with Jack.
How often do you typically meet, Sheriff?
Pardon me?
How often do you typically meet with this committee, or does the
It's
committee
just really kind of
call
like,
together?
it's on an as-needed basis. So we do hiring tests at least 2 times a year, if not 3. And they're present during a hiring test. They're present during promotional tests, and whatever test I want to give, they like, yep, that's fair. They part of the interview boards and processes just to ensure that things are fair. Their bigger duty really that, and as needed, is if there's a disciplinary action that comes, they are the grievance piece of my office. The sworn deputies don't fall into the county HR. All the grievance stuff goes through the merit commission. So really on an as-needed basis is how often we get together.
Okay.
We appreciate that info. Is there any other questions that you might have of? Go ahead, yeah, please.
What kind of training do they get to be able to understand the nuances of the sheriff department and some of the?
There's not a lot of training that goes with it, because it's not really the ins and outs of how the office works. It's more of fairness. So in my office,
Type of a board.
yeah, so like in my office we're all one office and there's 200 employees, but you've got the correction side of my office versus the criminal side of my office. And for me to give a promotional test that weighed too heavy on corrections or too heavy on the criminal side, it wouldn't be a fair advantage for either one to take that kind of a test. So that it keeps things balanced and fair. most of them have been around long enough. They understand the inner workings of the office and promotions and the hiring pieces of it, but not a lot of training that goes into what the commission does. Their duties are pretty well spelled out in the statute. When we do have a grievance issue, to be fair, because the county attorney's office represents me in a grievance and represents the county, so we hire an outside counsel for the Merit Commission on those grievance issues. So they have their own counsel that is independent of anything that the county does. So it's a completely neutral committee.
It's helpful, thank you.
Appreciate that. Other questions? None? Hey, go have a party.
We don't have a birthday party. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Jordan Mathis, if you'd come up and, now I want you to talk to the audience, okay? Take a look out there and make your presentation exciting. You can do it. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to sing a song first.
And we'd like to record that. This might be your last council meeting you come to. I don't know. Now you're a good singer, I'm sure.
Well, thanks for having me here. What you have in front of you, just to give you a little bit of background, in October of last year, we presented a conceptual plan in front to the council. That conceptual plan was developed based off of input from a lot of stakeholders in the community about how we would maximize the utilization of the opioid settlement dollars that are coming to the counties. If you remember, 50% of the total opioid settlement were coming to the counties based off of formula, and the other 50% was going to the state. So the state of Utah has 50% of it, and the other 50% was split. We developed a conceptual plan for Cache County, and we presented that. The council gave us the go-ahead to say, how do you operationalize that with regards to a budget? This budget proposal right here is that, with the justifications for the activities there. So we are looking at a 30% of the request. Well, we're asking for 85% of what the county got, knowing that the sheriff, in talking to the sheriff may have opportunities to utilize some funding. So we asked for 85% of it, which is a total of $304,160.80. That is being split 70-30. That top portion is showing you what's going to go to prevention, trying to get a little bit further upstream. But right now, for those that were on the council, right now we're in the middle of kind of an acute crisis. And the settlement was front-loaded. And so over time, our plan is to get more and more further upstream. But right now we have an issue with being able to provide enough treatment in our community. So the majority of it, 70% of the request for this year, actually for last year's dollars, would go towards treatment, with a focus on those activities under the justification. If you want me to, I can read through and talk about what that justification is. But right now, we'd just like to get the money moving in our community to making a difference. So
Why only 85%?
just so the sheriff had some, if there were some activities that he could potentially do. So that was leaving him 15%, if he needs it. If he decides that he doesn't need it, we would be more than happy to probably throw the rest of it into treatment. So,
You'll work with him and then come back as needed.
yeah.
Council, questions?
I have a question. The treatment portion of it, is that just for 1 year's funding? Like, is there a time specific?
So the nice thing about this funding is it doesn't necessarily lapse, but the payments to the counties come on an annual basis. So this is already here. It actually came sometime, I don't know when it came. It came sometime. So we're about a year behind. We actually have to start reporting on how we're going to be utilizing these in our community by, I believe, June, the end of June of this year. How did we use the first year of funding? So it'd be good for us to say at least we've allocated and it's starting to work on these specific things. We definitely will not have any sort of tangible outcomes other than distribution of funds and maybe a few activities that have been funded by it at this point. But the nice thing is it doesn't lapse, so we're not going to lose it. It can roll from year to year. But I don't think we want to report that we're just rolling it from year to year. We want to show that we're making a difference in the community.
Right.
So.
Will there be more funds coming, or is this a one-time fund?
No, so it's a 18-year settlement. Every year, the county will be given a portion of their settlement. But like I said, the way that it's distributed is it's really front-loaded. The heavy payments come. This is actually year 1 and year 2 kind of rolled together. I can show you the spreadsheet from UAC, what each county gets and everything like that. But this will be the biggest request that you'll see out of this settlement because it's kind of a combined 1 year, 2 year. And then it kind of levels off for each of the counties, kind of mid-settlement.
Okay, the question that I have is that we could approve this settlement request tonight, but as far as budget,
That's a good question because I believe they have a separate budget from the county budget. So do you need any help from this council as far as?
is it already in it? That's what, yeah, my question is.
Came and presented before several months, but I think tonight would be the approval of, his approval to expend these funds, according to this plan.
Yeah. And I don't know what do we just send an invoice and say it's approved per the council and then send an invoice and send it off? I don't know. That's the other, we can talk about that offline, but.
Okay, well, that'd be a discussion with Cameron and make sure that we just want to make sure if it has to come through a budget request, you know, and the budget opening, that we do that, make sure it gets where it needs to be as soon as it can.
With regards to our budget, we were anticipating some. We may have to make an amendment based off of this. We weren't sure exactly what, but we've already.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just might add, the reason Jordan's here tonight is because Cameron did say, by the way, we need to be reporting on the use of these funds. And so I started an email between me, Jordan, and Cameron and basically said, well, who does that? And Cameron said, we do, but the council needs to actually take action. So that action tonight will give Cameron the ability to approve things that come from him then, according to the plan.
So the funds aren't in the general fund right now. They've
So-
already been put into that account for his access.
That's the good question, because
Yeah,
we can ask
that's
Cameron
what
and
I'm
ask
asking.
about, what about actual budget authority and what budget amendment might need to come?
But we'll follow through up on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel about this concept here, this request?
Good
Makes
with it.
sense. I think it's what the money is intended to be used for. Yeah.
I'd entertain a motion that we basically,
I'll move to approve the opioid settlement funds as presented.
I'll second it.
second, that we approve the 2022 opioid settlement request through Bear River Health Department. All those or any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Is that entertaining enough?
yes, you're good.
All right.
You're good. And just follow up on that other in case we have to make sure it's in the next
If I
budget
just
opening.
connect with Cameron then directly?
Yeah.
I assume if we do need an actual budget amendment, it's perfect timing, we can bring it in June.
We'll get it to where it needs to be.
Okay, thank you.
Clarify, Nolan, you were an aye, is that
Yeah,
correct?
Nolan was an aye, but he's just a slow.
Okay.
It takes a while. His voice doesn't carry very good from Florida, so. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead with we don't have any committee reports, public hearings. The pending action that we are currently on 9A is the consideration and approval of the RAPS board decisions. If you'd go ahead and come up, Alma, And let's go ahead and, if you've looked at those, hopefully you've looked at those. And this is the last, well, the committee met again. Go ahead, you share all the details of that we've all gone through there.
So on April 24th, the Wraps and Restaurant Board met and made some recommendations to the council. That was presented to you. As discussed in, I believe, the last council meeting, there was a computer glitch, and so there was a little bit more money. And so you asked that the Wraps Committee or Board meet again, and they met on May 16th. And then we made another recommendation to this council, and you have that before you. So there was about another $400,000 that was awarded or recommended to be awarded.
And everything was vetted again. I think several of you had sent suggestions in, and they went through all of those, made some additions accordingly, and then basically sent it back. They did withhold a certain amounts because of some possible rather large possible allocations which may occur. I know airport changes that's happening there that they feel might be happening within the year. So, but other than that, we'll entertain any, options, changes.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an option. I need to stick up for the zoo. 10% of Wraps was, when this law was put into effect and the tax was put into effect, was to go to the zoo. And we're still far below that. And I would recommend at least adding another $100,000 to the zoo operating funds. I think we need to determine, is the zoo of value to the county or not? And, they're not going to survive unless they get some additional funding, and Wraps was put in place to help support zoos. So I would recommend we increase the final recommendation of 175 to make that 275. And I also appreciate very much the committee's considering the other suggestions I had made for increasing some of these other venues that contribute to tourism in our county, and from whence the tax is paid by people who are visiting our county. And, so we need to continue to support those venues that to bring people in to spend their money here. So, and I appreciate the Wraps Committee's consideration of those other changes. But again, I would request that we increase the ZUTA by another $100,000 to make that $275,000. Their request was $480,000. 275 is still probably only 50% of, or only 5% of the amount that they could get under the Wraps.
We'll take that in the form of a motion.
I'll make that motion then.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that we increase the ZUTA number 79 by 100,000. Is now open for discussion on that particular. We'll do these few here. Go ahead.
Can I, we'll have to make sure that it doesn't go over the 10% because they are.
It's up to, it's not 10%, it's up to 10%.
And I don't have that in front of me. I'm thinking it's 268,000. So we'll have to double check and make sure that it's not over the 10%.
And I'll accept that. If it's less than 275, then it's 268 or whatever, then
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, any other questions on that particular?
Yeah, so, thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet.
Do we get, one of the things that's hard is we don't really get to see the application for what these funds will be applied. So did this specifically say for, water or for maintenance, I don't know, that's what I was just,
Yeah, that's good. And that's the RAPS committee. And they're the ones that have been selected to go through and vet those. And I know on this particular one, they did have a fair amount of carryover, which they were not utilized, or had not been utilized, and it didn't say that it was promised money. And we didn't see a whole lot of, as far as on the power of that particular application, it's just didn't, for that committee, it was just not warranting that, that such a steep increase from year to year. So,
Well, my motion will stand then, so it's not more than 10%. but,
Okay.
Well-
275.
with that being, let's vote on that one. Let's see, and all those in favor of doing that increase possibly up to maybe 100,000 or not in excess of that 10%.
Okay.
All those in favor of that, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? I'll say nay. So, okay. Any others that as you've gone through these, that have specifics?
Yep, I appreciate the work that went into it and the increases that I felt were appropriate to the venues that bring in the tax dollars.
Okay, thank you.
so I would like to propose that we increase the amount for the Providence City Skate Park. That's one that I've heard from plenty of constituents that are interested in that. I know that originally they got the 150 after we went back after the computer glitch. We changed that to the 200. I would like to propose just adding an additional 50,000. Bringing their total allocation at 250, which is still, they initially requested 300,000.
Is there, that's motion there, is there a second on that one?
I'll second that one.
Moved and seconded, what number was that one?
That is 59.
59, okay.
And my reasoning is it's very unique. It's going to end up being more of a regional thing because that's not something that's found in any place in the south end of the valley. I guess there is in Hiram, but it's going to be serving, I think, a pretty large demographic too. So this isn't just another splash pad. It's a quite unique feature that I think would enhance and that whole region of the valley.
I have a concern about this because I want to know, we have lots of young people in here. Thank you for being here. What is your contribution going to be to the skate park? What are you going to do to justify us giving you all this money for that? That's a lot of money. What are you going to do for it? Have you thought about that? Okay, let's have a young person.
If you would, when you come up, just state your name, we'll,
Yeah, I'm Brennan Jensen's my last name. So I love to skateboard. I encourage anybody that likes to scooter, whatever you love, it's cool. I don't mind it. Everyone's really good at doing their own part. As long as everyone's really just like taking care of each other, being nice, respectful. Honestly, just like making sure everyone is doing like good things, cleaning up the skate park, all the little kids that their mom brings to McDonald's, we need to make sure that gets put away right afterwards. And that's a big thing I see, so I experience that a lot, so I personally, I like to clean up the trash whenever I see it, even if it's not mine. I feel like that's not really something we're going to do. That's something we're going to do to help take care of it, if it's a thing, but we want to make sure that, for the community, we just want to encourage kids to really get out and play, because everyone's just on their iPad for the whole day long, get off work and they hand their kid their iPad, and they're just stuck in the corner. I don't know. That's just my little brothers for you, so I just want to get my kids, if I have a kid, and all the other kids that are out, to go out, and go outside and play, enjoy the park, even if it's not a skate park. Go like play outside and really do something like with your friends, like bring the community together instead of distancing on your cell phone or your iPad or whatever you choose to do, So I just feel like that's a really good way to get people outside to play,
Okay, I like that, keeping it clean.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be a responsibility for that, so thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Is there any other young person that's going to come up here? Okay, just a minute. I want to hear.
She says she's young.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I really would,
One more?
I appreciate, let's have one more. I appreciate you being here. What are you going to do to contribute to this skate park?
Go to the microphone.
Come
Go
on,
ahead.
come on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and give us your name and tell us what your feelings are.
My name is Tan White. I think if we respect the skate park and if we just, we can pick up trash and stuff to help with the skate park and keep it clean and stuff. And the skate park would really help me because it would be a nicer park to go to instead of having to drive a while to Hiram or Logan, because we skate Logan a lot. And I think if we get a new skate park, there won't be as much people crammed at one skate park. So it would be spaced out and not as much people would complain and stuff.
Great, thank you. If you come up, please state your name.
My name is Annie Jones, and personally, from my personal experience, we will go skate around the neighborhoods like Providence Elementary, and we get kicked off, and it's not fun for anyone. And I think it would just be a safe environment for people to go and skate.
Okay, great. Thank you. Safety. All right.
My name's Crew Oborn, and I think why the skate park would be good is because I'm just stuck behind this church, and it only has 2 skatable things on it. So I would just really like the skate park.
Hey, and what will you do to help with the skate park? What do you see your responsibility as?
Pick up the trash and stuff.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Anybody else wants to come up?
So I
Your name,
live
please.
right, Lisa Clausen, and we live right across from Zollingers Park. So as a Providence member, we lived in Smithfield before, and my kids, I would take them to the skate park quite a bit and let them play. And so this is an opportunity that we live right across from it for our kids to play and neighbors, and we would love to encourage that as well, to have that and to be a liaison or something that if I know kids get hurt, and that's a fact, and if we can be a resource as a homeowner there and be able to help that way, or if they need things and go take it clean, make sure it's kept clean, we're willing to do that as a homeowner that lives right across from the park. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. One more. We had this young lady here.
My name is Amy Soto, and I don't think it's without reason at all for the city to put together a committee of kids that would be willing to help with any kind of maintenance. I know that we have people in this room that are familiar with the maintenance of skate parks, and as a Providence resident myself, my boys and I, my kids and I, would have no problem going down and looking over the skate park and doing what we can to commit our time and effort to making sure that it stays beautiful. It's going to be right there on 100 North, on a busy road, on a main road where everybody is going to see it. From what I have gathered of skate parks, when the kids get there, there is a certain level of inclusivity and respect for other skaters. Especially, I feel like the young ones look up to the old ones. And the old ones totally respect the young ones for getting out there and trying. Nobody cares what your skill level is. I've found that people are very willing to help each other when it comes to learning to drop into a bowl or helping them with different skills. It's to have a skate park is a very healthy thing to have part of your community. And I feel like this would serve a lot of the, I want to call it untapped potential of athleticism among of our youth today, where they may not have parents that can provide the time and the money that it costs to be a part of organized sports. So having a place to go and be active and outside is a big deal. To have something like this during a time like COVID, heaven forbid it should ever happen again, and maybe it'll be in 100 years. But to have something like this where everybody can go outside and be is extremely healthy. And I would like to encourage and invite anybody else that sees what it is that they could do to, or what their knowledge is of maintaining a skate park, to please come up and share your opinions as well. Especially any of you experienced skaters. Yeah. But I feel like there's a level of respect among skaters in taking care of a park because this is theirs. And I would really love for the youth to have something that they can take care of. In Providence, in the roundabout valleys over there, we don't really have a place for the youth to go. Ask Macy's.
Another few seconds, wrap it up, please.
Yes, ask Macy's. They will tell you. But one last thing. Is anybody here from Mendon? Is anybody here from Nibley? From Logan? Help me think of another nearby.
Millville.
Providence, Millville. You have many people that are interested from the surrounding areas to see the best park possible put in here. And it's going to require certain features, especially if we want to keep it to a competitive level. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think if I may just interject, the Providence City is going to pay for the remaining funds for this. So they are willing to put up $350,000, and they've allocated that in their budget to put $350,000 to make up whatever difference that they aren't going to be allocated from the RAPs. So they will be putting the significant investment from their own budget.
Other comments from the council? I know, again, I'm in speaking from the RAPS committee. As they vetted this, they tried to be also very fair to all of the cities for according to their population as such and everything. And this kind of starts putting it past that fairness point a little bit. But that's the priority of the council. So
there was a motion.
And a second. And so, any more discussion? Okay, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of increasing that, was it 50,000?
50,000.
Which then would take that one up to 250,000. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
I'll say nay. That's 3 to 4. It does pass. So, okay. Any other specifics on here that we can work with? Any other changes according to what you've seen?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the RAPS recommendations as presented and amended in our meeting this evening.
With the changes that have been accepted on the different amendments, you bet.
And I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. That we will approve the RAPS committee recommendations with the specific changes by council tonight. As recorded, Alma, you've got those recorded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, to proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. So that does leave us with a little bit, but there are some things coming down the pike here shortly. We appreciate everybody, so it is official. And everyone will be receiving notification of that on what's being sent to them here shortly. So thank you. Now, you're sure welcome to stay and listen to the best part of this meeting, if you'd like. But, okay, let's go on. Now we're going to talk about ordinances. Oh, look at that, mass exodus.
Stick around, this is local government.
It's better. Thank you.
Oh, you're saying?
About local government.
Oh, got your back, Justin. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Okay, we may have to shut the doors here in a second because there's always a meeting after the meeting. And so, Jess, I appreciate you. Okay, let's go ahead and 10A, ordinance amending 3.32.020, modifying the composition of the audit committee. Who will be speaking of that one here?
I don't know if anybody has been designated to do that, but.
Okay, well, Carl, if you don't, he can also, Micah can help you.
Okay. Go ahead, Micah.
This is a pretty simple ordinance. As it stands now, the makeup of the audit committee is not exactly what it says in county code. In county code, it simply says that there needs to be 2 members of the county council in the audit committee. And this ordinance changes county code to basically just have code reflect what the audit committee looks like now. And so it says 3 members of the county council, the county executive, and then 1 citizen representative. And that is the current makeup of the audit committee.
So are you saying that there should only be 5 on the audit committee?
Yeah, and that's how it is now. 5 voting members.
5 voting.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, so right now our 5 voting members are Carl,
Yeah.
Councilman Ward, Councilwoman Goodlander, and
Yeah,
yourself.
okay, so voting, yeah. So I was going to say, we always have more than 5 people
Yeah,
there.
we have like a dozen
Okay.
people there, but they're all kind
Gotcha.
of advisory.
And
This really does clarify what the audit committee does.
Okay, my question is, and what power do they have as to the direction as to what audits is to occur?
And any direction the audit committee has under this ordinance is the same that it has now, which is, extensive and, the authority to audit any books, any reports, the books of any department of the county, and the council can call on an audit through the audit committee, and the audit committee can act on its own, but then ultimately would need the approval of the council. Yeah, Councilwoman Buse.
This doesn't mention terms or who, like how they're going to be chosen. There's a few things I think that are still just kind of missing.
I'm going to look at our attorney, one of our attorneys.
As far as council members, it's just determined by each year when we assign.
The member, the at-large citizen.
Yeah, that's appointed by the executive and approved by the council, but there's no term given.
Where is that stipulated, that it's approved or chosen by the executive?
Right here in this ordinance.
I mean, is it something that the audit committee would like to include in this? A term for 2 years or something? The citizen at large or?
The process for selecting that citizen at large.
Does 2 years sound appropriate?
For the citizen?
Uh-huh.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, and probably it could be renewed
Yeah.
as well, yeah.
So is that something you'd like to add?
I'll move to make that amendment.
Okay, with that in there, should we wait to get language accordingly? Or do you want to go ahead and move on this?
Taylor, is that something, do we want to hold off to the next council meeting to make that change?
I think it's simple enough that.
It's
To waive the rules.
That's
we can
my
just
point,
do the
is
first-
does it require a reposting?
So let me propose
We just,
We can change it and then just.
this is
bring
the
it up.
initial,
This is initial. so
the initial
we're not-
proposal, so it can come out at the next, it'll just be on the agenda to come out at the very next county council meeting.
Yeah,
So,
if you want to
and
wait until.
Those changes could be made with the wording, and then we can attack the right wording if you'd like. That's up to you guys.
Perfect.
Sure.
that
Change
works.
I would like to see in the next version of it.
So just to clarify, a two-year term, appointed by the county executive for a two-year term. And we would probably also need to create some sort of, something to clarify the current, the role of the current status of the current citizen representative, Alan Allred.
Well, and I think appointed by the county executive and with the approval of the.
With the advice and consent.
And Carl mentioned something about being able to renew,
Right.
Okay. So he wouldn't
just be two and
termed
done.
out,
Yeah.
just renew, okay. Okay, I'll make that change and have it ready for the next council meeting.
Because there's really not a removal process.
No, there isn't.
You know, and that could change every year, and it could, you know, I can see some consistency there, so.
Yeah, and we could even add that he could be removed, the citizen representative could be removed partway through a term by the county council.
Okay.
I mean, if that's something that.
Yeah, so that ought to be in there too.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Okay, I'll make that change.
Yes.
Could I ask a question? Is that all right with you?
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Chair?
yeah, it
Cool,
was just-
thank you. I just had a question. At the end of the first paragraph, A states, "Nothing in this section shall limit the statutory authority of the county council, county executive, county auditor." My first question is, does statutory authority only refer to state statute, or does that also include other county code? Additionally, it states that in A, but then in B, the phrase, it talks about the requirements in B about audit committee shall participate in, initial audit entrance, county executive appointed independent auditor for purpose of reviewing the scope and nature of any audit to be performed. So that language seems pretty broad to me, because I know that there are different parts of the county government that can call for an audit with or without the audit committee. So I'm wondering if that paragraph B, maybe there's some clarifying language that would clarify any audit recommended by the audit committee or something like that, to kind of clarify that, so that maybe future audit committees can say, hey, so-and-so is calling for an audit, and that, so I'm just saying it might be a little bit limiting for that. Do all audits fall under this, or just the ones called by the?
So you're saying there could be a possibility that someone could interpret this to say that the audit committee has veto power over another audit?
Or it's required that, let's just say, the county executive has the statutory authority to call for an audit, and then this language here says any audit to be performed. So I would assume that would be in the county, so.
So if I could add to that, I do think that this doesn't give veto power. I think it does, it is ambiguous as to what audit. So under the subsection B, there's at least argument that if the council wants, like in the forensic audit, that would have to go to the audit committee for the scope and nature to be discussed, which I don't think that's the intent of this section. I think there needs to be some clarification that it's audits recommended by the
audit committee.
Otherwise, if the council wanted to do an audit, the scope of that audit would need to be discussed with the audit committee. Whether it doesn't need their approval, but I think this would require that to be discussed.
So
I think we need to, dig into this a little bit more. Taylor?
And if Taylor has a different interpretation of that.
Yeah, I think it's worth some more further discussion.
Okay.
I think so too.
So we know we have one change. Catherine over there. When's our next ordinance policy review?
June 13th.
Pardon me?
June 13th.
13th, that is that day.
Yeah, and that's the day of the next council meeting.
Yeah. Let's talk, communicate, and maybe we can fine tune some of that to come in for that night, and get it sent to everybody who would dig it, and if we have to, we can also postpone another 2 weeks or.
Let's do it the right way.
Yeah.
Because there's no
I
big
agree.
hurry on this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate all the dialogue and the information there. Let's go to 10B, ordinance 2023-21, updating the solid waste regulations.
Good evening. As you know, we've overhauled our solid waste collection, entering into an agreement with other municipalities. In the past, as I'm sure you are aware, all the waste collection in the county was handled under Service Area Number 1 for about 50 years. And our code reflected that. Almost all of 8.2 was dedicated to Service Area Number 1, about creating it, its purpose, its governance, structure, rate setting powers, and almost none of it addressed actual regulations of solid waste. Now that Service Area Number 1 is now or shortly to be completely dissolved, now that we've entered into this agreement with other municipalities, it's come to our attention that we need to strengthen our regulations for solid waste and their collection and disposal. So this is a pretty comprehensive overhaul, making it so the first portion that I would direct your attention to is of the new section is 8.2.030, where it makes it compulsory, and I need to amend the numbering on this. That every owner of real property who has residential or commercial improvements upon said property within the boundaries of the unincorporated county who generates solid waste on a regular or irregular basis must provide for the collection, removal, and disposal of such by subscribing with the franchise hauler contracted with the county for collection service. That makes it mandatory so that everyone has to participate, so that we're not getting people burying their garbage, dumping it in the unincorporated county, and that coincides with the agreement that we have with the other municipalities, that we're all working with the same hauler. That allows us to get a preferential rate, allows us to keep rates low for our citizens. So this makes it mandatory that everybody participates and has garbage collection with the county.
Taylor,
Yes.
is that legal to make that compulsory? Like, what if someone says, you know what, I'm just a little old lady and my son picks up my garbage every other week and because I don't have any and he hauls it away? Or I don't know, like, I'm sure you've thought of that, but is it legal that you make it compulsory?
Yes, if they're producing solid waste on a regular or irregular basis and they have improvements on their land, then yes, we can.
Okay.
It is not tied to the person. It is tied to the property.
Property, that's correct.
So,
Okay.
you know, we're not being selective as to, like you say, your son or all these kind of things. It is tied to the property that does produce the waste.
Got it. Okay.
So,
And it makes a couple of specifications of what is allowed and what's not allowed, and it makes it specifically unlawful for dumping on bridges, gutters, in the unincorporated area, streams, lakes, canals. It does allow for, in Part E, burying of dead bovines, horses, mules, goats, sheep, birds, or swine can be buried on animals, on owner's property. That is allowed under Utah code, under our agricultural statutes. So that's something we're not allowed to change. That's permitted under Utah law, under state code. So that's,
what's the definition of animal?
I'm sorry?
You say animals can be buried on property.
Yes, dead bovines, horses, mules, goats, sheep, birds, or swine.
Man, I'd like to expand that.
They said birds, but they didn't say dogs and cats.
That's
People.
That's what's in our state code. So if you wanted to expand that and add it for
I just thought that was.
Fido and
Yeah.
Fluffy, then or fish.
Yeah, the fish.
Sure.
The Abraham, the fish, he doesn't last forever. So,
Right, so we could expand that. This is the minimum that's required under our code, so you can, under our agricultural statutes, so.
Semantics on E. All of the other paragraphs start out with, "It shall be unlawful." And then E just starts out disposing of the carcass.
Yes.
And instead of saying, "It shall be unlawful,"
It does say at the beginning of that section, on the top heading, the following shall be
it's just
unlawful.
semantics. It just
Yes,
threw me, and
we can.
in my old brain, I kept thinking, what am I missing here?
But this,
Yes, we,
but this isn't unlawful, is it? Because it's saying it's okay to bury these carcasses.
so, right, reading it all together, disposing of the carcass of any dead animal, domestic or otherwise, by throwing, discarding, placing, or depositing of said carcass in or on any of the locations noted in subsection A through C of this section. That's,
Could we add,
That's the unlawful part.
yes. And the carve-out is the owner of a dead bovine, horse, mule, sheep, goat, bird, or swine may bury the dead animal on their owner's property.
or could we,
So we could wordsmith
put,
that a
it
little
is
bit
lawful
better.
for the owner to la, 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 la? Or is that necessary, do you think?
Given that it says that they may do that, that's
Yeah,
the legal effect of that.
Every other subparagraph says it shall be unlawful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I did also take some from Salt Lake City and a couple of other municipalities to make our enforcement and penalties clear, to give our county enforcement capacity, make sure that that's up to scratch, so that if there are violators, if there are people dumping or polluting our unincorporated county, we have the tools to stop that.
Who would be in charge of doing that specifically? Would you call the sheriff's department? Would you, like, who does this enforcement?
Well, we have our code enforcement officer, and it is made a Class C misdemeanor, so we could have our sheriff's deputies
That would go through the courts.
making citations, correct?
Could I add maybe one change to that?
Sure.
Could we make it a Class C misdemeanor on the first offense and after, like a Class B misdemeanor on any subsequent offense? So if you have a serial dumper, it's not always just a
Serial dumper. That's good.
I'll just stick with that. A serial dumper in the unincorporated county, they're not just, it's not a C misdemeanor every single time.
That's gonna be at the paper tomorrow.
Misdemeanor, there gets to be a little bit more teeth there. Or on a third and subsequent offense, it's a B misdemeanor. Would that be, I'm just thinking of this from a criminal prosecution perspective. Some people might say, well, I'll take a C misdemeanor every few years, every time I get caught. But if we
It's a good point.
start saying it's a B misdemeanor, you're punishable by up to 6 months in jail, maybe they start thinking about it a little bit.
I think that's a good point, because I have a cousin who lives in California, and she lives out in the rural area, and they have people come out and dump their washers and dryers and everything on other people's property, and there's no, nothing ever happens about it. So I think that's a good idea.
My suggestion is maybe that, could we take that, incorporate it, and along with, was you wanting to include fish? No, okay. No, okay.
Gotta do something about it.
Anyway, and just fine tune that, and should we also address this at next?
Yeah, that would be great. We can make those changes and bring it back to you. And
Perfect.
Now, I'm glad you've reacted, but you've acted upon this, and questions have been raised by, we're not the only one that's been going into all these negotiations, with haulers and with solid waste. We've had other cities that are doing private entities, contracts themselves and so forth. And we've had some of them, we had people that says, you know what, I'm opting out of it. And you go, no. And they're the ones that sneak out at midnight and go throw it in their neighbor's dumpster, And it's bids and the secure, and the consistency of those bids, and to keep the haulers, their costs and everything together, it has to be a collective effort of everybody involved.
I will say that there's almost nothing more that can affect the quality of life of an area other than litter and trash being everywhere. So if we can prevent that, that will go a long way to keeping Cache County a beautiful place.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your efforts there.
Thank you.
We'll bring that back then at the next meeting. And if you do have any thoughts and stuff please email them to Taylor, and that we can, if we add through that. And why don't we just, at the next ordinance policy, Taylor, at that, just bring that up and say, here's, we'll do our last little stamp on that as it's sent to the council, and we'll just look at it for the 30 seconds that we need to. You're good. Thank you. Other business, we got Nibley Heritage Days Parade, Lewiston, Hiram, Would anyone like to go ahead and say whether you'll be attending, you better attend the one, so.
I'll be in Nibley,
I bet you will.
I'll do the Nibley.
and I'll be in Hiram as well.
Is Nibley the one that takes like three hours to get through? It goes out through the fields? Or they build on now?
No, we go from like Weathersfield parking lot through a neighborhood and then back.
We went once and we went for like 3 or 4 blocks and there wasn't even a home around.
Yeah, that.
We threw candies to ourselves. So, okay, Nibley, are you writing these down? Yep. Lewiston, I'll be going to Lewiston. Hiram?
When did Hiram change to 10 in the morning? They overlap with Lewiston?
Last year.
Last year they did.
year.
Last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go to whichever one has the least attendees between.
I'll
Hiram
go
and
to
Lewiston.
Hiram. I'll do Hiram.
You're doing Hiram, you're doing.
Lewiston's funner.
Is it? Never been to.
I've never been to Lewiston.
It's all right. It's a good one. It's a,
I like to do Hiram because I usually run the Freedom Run on my,
Oh, there you
just
go.
right there. Who else is going to those two?
good.
If I can make one, I would go to the Lewiston one
Okay.
Then put me down for
on
Hiram.
that day.
Terrific. And we still got some time, the next meeting, if you need to look at your schedules accordingly, and we can update that, no problem. Council member reports, look at that, it's 2 minutes after 6, we're gonna fly through there, so ready to be gone now, let's go, auctioneer style. Carl, would you please?
Well, the only thing I want to say is, having received 2 emails already from the people in Smithfield Canyon about hauling out of the pit, I think it's time we take some serious action.
Would you like,
Is that something though we need to talk here, or do we,
We,
executive?
there needs to be an executive session
Yeah.
because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that,
I think we need,
after individually, if you'd like.
we need to do something serious.
well, and I think things that are, I know process has been occurring, but, okay,
And the WRR conference was very good. That's all I have to say.
appreciate that. Sandy?
Same as Carl, the WIR conference was really informative, and I think it was good, as many of our county members that can be there. I think it's noticeable, and I think that there is a voice that we can have, and that's a good thing. Last night, some of us were able to go down to the state capitol and have a tour of the Capitol building and up on the dome, and that was wonderful, and dinner with Governor Cox at the governor's mansion, so that was very enjoyable. And Catherine and I are famous because we made his Twitter feed. Just saying.
Walking behind him.
We were photo bombers, actually. We photo bombed. Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
All right, so a couple things. First is just update on the budget committee meeting we had yesterday. I was there briefly, and then I took off to make it down to that same meeting at the governor's mansion, whatever. But we did review the ARPA funding applications, and there was one point that was asked of me a couple, maybe 2 weeks ago now, but the purpose for the audit committee reviewing the ARPA funds applications isn't to screen out any of the applicants. You know, that, the budget committee is not going to hold back any of the proposed projects. They will all come to the council. There have been some applications that were do not qualify. Obviously, those would not come before the council, and so, but that's been screening that's been done by Cameron and Alma in reviewing the applications, and if the project doesn't qualify, it doesn't qualify, the council can't do anything about it, but so there will be some more discussion there. I would maybe defer to Dirk and Alma if there's anything else this group needs to know, since I had to leave early from it, just continue the review as we were, the momentum we had, if you will. Okay. And then.
Are they projected to be coming to us when?
Did you get far enough?
I can,
when it's coming? I believe June.
yeah, I believe it'll be coming with the budget opening.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was.
That was the goal, but
Okay,
where I missed
no,
the bend, I
that
didn't
just
know.
kind of gives a heads up to
Okay.
be able to look at
So yeah,
it.
we should, this body should be seeing that real soon. And then, I appreciated the workshop earlier. It spawned a lot of questions for me as far as the water discussion and to maybe, reach out to our legislators with some, I'll call it constructive feedback or criticism maybe on some points, and then also some appreciation and expressions of thank you for seeing it and moving it forward. But I thought maybe, Chairman, I would work with you to kind of get some collective opinion rather than it just be like maybe all of us go with all our questions. So, and the other thing, I'm also asking maybe you share some of your expertise with me before I go ask them. So if we can maybe find another time to meet. And then the last thing, I know that as the liaison with the clerk and auditor's office, I'm aware of an additional award that the office has received. I'm not familiar much with the details, so if I may turn just a moment of time over to Mr. Bradfield for an update on a positive thing for our county.
Thank you. Let me just pull that open. Essentially what has happened is that we were recognized by the U.S. Election Assistance Commission for an honorable mention, and they only gave out 2 awards and then 1 honorable mention. We were the honorable mention. Just to put this in perspective, the people who won the awards was, they were New Jersey Secretary of State Office of Elections, Maricopa County, and then we received 3rd place as Cache County. And it was for the use of the outstanding use of HAVA grants in election modernizations. And so it's one of those neat things that, yeah, we were recognized by a federal agency, and you can look it up. We're listed on their website there, and I just want to say thank you for your support in helping us to build our elections processes. We couldn't have done it without some of those who on the council who had really supported us, and so thank you. It goes along with some of our other awards, and it's a great thing for the county.
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you filling in for the gaps on what I understood of it. I just was made aware that one of our departments had received the award, and I commend you for your efforts in guiding that, and the council in the past for seeing the vision of supporting and strengthening our election process. Having had the benefit of being an election worker several years ago, I've seen the process as to where it was and where we are currently, and maybe with a little bit of being outdated from the last couple of years, but I know Cache County is leading the way in a lot of the ability to do elections right. So, thank you for sharing that, Jess. That's all I had, Council.
Thanks, Mike.
No report.
Catherine.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay, and I too appreciate some of the WIR and going down and talking and meeting there with the governor. Those things meeting the governor against, that's neat, but actually the camaraderie that's built amongst your fellow commissioners and council, I think that is a network like that is actually quite invaluable, and also becoming very well known to a lot of the governor's staff that works with, really the boots on the ground kind of things, and to get phone calls from them and things like that. That tells you that they're thinking of you, and that if you can keep your name and just ask them questions, they're happy to work with you, and you kind of have a little bit of influence on something. So I appreciate even the letter that we did send to the governor. I thought it kind of just I won't say woke them up, but I kind of just say, hey, let's come to the table. And I thought that was wonderful. I'm glad that we came together and we talked about those issues open like that. And at any time, I think everyone on that panel, we could just reach out to any of them and they'd be happy now, very much. I think they were before, but I'm saying I think it's really, face recognition of all of us and that, happy to work with us. At least I felt that was good.
For his part in that.
Yes, yes, again and again. Yeah, if you have any questions, ask Mike. He's a hound dog. He's good. So he'll find out when, where, and what. So And I appreciate all of you on the council. I really do. It's, even Nolan, you still there? Oh, yeah.
He went swimming.
Well, we did appreciate him for a moment, so.
The clock there.
Anyway, no, we appreciate everyone and the hard work and the participation, all the committees and everything, and people that we work with here. I think that that's critical. So with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Dave, we appreciate you.
You don't know if you do. Why, thank you, but.
Do it, Dave, do it.